Alright, there we go.
There we go.
And we're starting.
Alright. And we're starting. Yeah. So yeah. The first part where they're going to is Ruins. Ruins is pretty much the only RNG based area in the whole game, so depending on the step counter we will see who will get what encounters on the way to Toriel's home.
This entire area is basically just making sure you mash properly and making sure you move the minimum amount of time in hopes to get the best RNG possible. As the less you move, obviously, the less step count you get, the less likely you are to get an encounter. It still is possible based on the minimum step count in the room to get an encounter, but that's RNG dependent. So we'll see how the RNGs that the runners get.
Yeah, what SnowieY just did is the so-called wall humping. Even though it doesn't have a real purpose in the neutral race, it normally is a mechanic used mostly in the genocide race. Wall humping is pretty much pressing up and down at the same time, and you actually would increase your step counters while going or facing a wall. So you can.
I don't think it actually does increase your step counter. It's just more convenient for you to stand in one place. What they're doing is a swag strat. Like I mentioned before, if you like exit the game and press out, it'll just have first moving in place, and doing it like this can do some interesting swag strats.
And Cookie a little bit behind right now. Let me see. Oh, Cookie's getting the encounter right now with Rocket. So will have his first forced encounter right now. This is an encounter you always will get. He was lucky. He got the enemy that he can spare really quick. Whimsun.
Yeah, there's a chance you can also get a Frogget.
Yeah.
Or in the room he just got an encounter and a Frogget Whimsun. Like Cookie just got. There's a chance you can get either of those, and you want to get a Whimsun and a Moldsmal since you can spare them and it's faster than fleeing. But Cookie got very, very unlucky.
Yeah. Both of them are coming to Nemsapluk now. Nemsapluk can be done really fast by cheering him on 4 times. So you actually need just to evade 1 round of attacks, and the rest of them is just, going through the dialogue.
And then we get to the more RNG heavy portion.
Yeah.
As in any of the upcoming rooms until you get to the room before you meet Toriel near her house, you can get an encounter in every single room. If you're very unlucky.
If you're really unlucky, but the chances to get actually one in the next room. Oh, so we got one in here, the red shot. But in the next room,
in this room, it's very unlikely, like Fireball saying, But it is possible if you kind of linger around there enough time. And in any of the other 3 rooms, it's pretty likely for you to get an encounter.
Yeah, SnowieY got one.
As well as Cookie.
Yeah.
If Cookie hadn't gotten that encounter, he'd probably be in sync with SnowieY right now, if not ahead.
But still, both of them having a 425 on the telephone call is really good.
So there's a pie that you can get with Toriel, and it's useful in the True Pacifist version due to being able to use it to skip a turn or 2 when you're trying to save all the other characters during Save the World. And it can actually increase your attack power on Asgore, but it's actually useless here, comparing to what we're going to be doing later, which is killing Vulcan, which boosts your level up to level 4.
Yeah. pretty much as I was saying, this is just an item that you use for the true pacifist route, and since we don't go to this because we are having the neutral ending, which is one of the in general neutral you could say is one of the first endings you normally get. Tutorial, a little bit of explanation tutorial. The tutorial boss fight will be done like SnowieY just had this one hand attack. The hand attack, if you hit tutorial with the hand attack, then their attack round ends immediately, and by you cannot force it. It's kind of RNG.
Yeah, it's all in RNG base.
Yeah, but what SnowieY can do is getting one hit at this one attack where the flames going up and down the sides of the wall, so he can get the 8 cycle at 8 hands in total.
Yeah, if you hit the spawner where the flames are coming out, it decreases 1 HP point. And in doing so, it allows the hands to hit you in a manner where you can get 8 turns without before Toriel stops attacking you.
Yeah, and as soon as you reach 2 HP, you actually done with the. Or she doesn't want to hit you anymore.
It is possible for you to die on this fight, and it actually has happened to many runners in their attempts, but it's very unlikely.
Yeah, the chance of that. If you die to Toriel, it's best to reset your life.
And they did get pretty unlucky with their Toriel hand RNG, as during the fight you saw them taking attacks on random turns in order to lower their health.
Oh, but Cookie had a little bit more luck, as you can see, because
he had better luck in Toriel than SnowieY did.
And then you can see actually what the difference is on the speed, in terms of speed when it comes down to finishing Toriel as fast as possible.
And it seems that none of them got sub 7 Toriel. Oh, as you can see, Cookie's luck did him a little bit, that he's only a little bit farther behind from SnowieY compared to before, where he was quite a bit amount behind. But as you can see, SnowieY's mashing is way better than Cookie's, so we'll see that change in Snowden, as there's a lot of text mashing in that area.
In Snowden, you don't really have RNG, you know when an encounter is coming, so the next section is pretty much who can solve the puzzles faster and mash faster. So pretty much that's the text-heavy area of the game, of the run. You can actually, in the neutral run, you can actually say there are 2 phases of the run: the pre-punch cut phase and the punch cut phase. So pretty much the first half we are in right now is the pre-PCA phase, where there is more RNG and more text.
You'll see that SnowieY went a little bit higher on the bridge. That's actually very slightly faster, as when you go to hide behind the lamp, you get up there a little bit quicker compared to going on the bottom or the middle of the bridge. And now it's just text mashing central for this cutscene. And it will be for quite the next few rooms as well. For some reason, Papyrus's text box take a little bit more time to load compared to everyone else's. His text on the text box, that is.
What they will do now is actually they're going to the box. They need to grab the tough glove out of the box because they want to change their weapon from the stick to the tough glove, because you can use the stick that you have in your inventory right now to finish all the dog encounters in one go.
There is a 1 in 10 chance of getting a phone call in this room. That will obviously waste time if you get it from Alphys. There's 2 sets of phone calls that you can get. One is a little bit longer than the others, but either way, both of them didn't get it, so it doesn't matter.
As you see, SnowieY right now is using the stick to finish the fight in 1 round. And that can be done with pretty much every dog encounter now.
Even in Dogony and the True Lab, it's also considered dogs where you can use a stick and finish it off in one turn. I wonder how they're gonna get past this maze. Wow, I can't believe Snowy did it first try. Wonder how he figured it out.
So hard.
Cookie did it too, whoa.
IQ 200.
Alright, what's better, crossword or jumble?
Junior jumble, of course.
I don't know, I'm gonna have to go with crossword. So yeah, they turn off a switch, which, funnily enough, in the genocide route, Flowey kind of turns off all the switches for you, so you don't have to go do it.
Yeah, so Dogami Doggeressa, again, a dogfight which you can end faster with the stick.
I'd never mentioned this before, but there are task-only skips with the dog before in the doghouse and Dogamy and Doggeressa, where if you get an encounter the same frame that you enter the cutscene, you can actually manage to skip the fight, but it's all task only. Normally you'd have to do this puzzle, but you can just go into the tray and skip all of it.
So next up is a room where where Papyrus is talking about a puzzle that he can set up, but it's instead of playing the whole cutscene, you actually tell him 2 times that you have no idea what he's talking about, so he leaves with the notes on the floor. And next up is also one of the more challenging puzzles, actually. To do it fast, you have to do it in a certain way with sliding down diagonally, and it's pretty much frame perfect here because you need to have it on the as Snowy just messed it up sadly, so he has to restart it, and
this puts Cookie ahead.
Yeah.
There are several ways to do this, which includes what we call a masochist ice puzzle, which is barely faster, and it's a lot more risky and less consistent than doing it the way they both just did.
Yeah, but you see how much it's time it is actually between achieving it first try and have to restart it.
Yeah, because now Cookie's ahead.
Yeah, Cookie also got the fast attack. Even Snowy got it too. Nice. But yeah, that gives Cookie a huge lead now.
And now text messaging central.
Yeah, hang in there, buddy.
Alright, so now we're in Snowdon. And there's an igloo on the side that just kind of immediately takes you to the end. And there's actually a trick here where you can get the text box up on the sign next to it. And if you get it, it saves a little bit of time to use that to wrong warp into the next room. When you close the text box, it warps you into the default position of the room, which we'll talk about more later once we get to the punch card.
Yeah, and Snowy didn't get it, so he lost a little bit more time because of this. So what's happening now is instead of fighting Papyrus a normal way, both of the runners will now lose to him 3 times in a row because it's way faster than actually fighting against him. So
it saves about 45 seconds.
Yeah. And why they're using the reason why they're using the bone right now is to actually get an attack where they can run into, because normally Papyrus would turn you blue in this round and it takes way longer. And from the second fight on, you are actually in this blue state where the heart, your heart is dropping to the bottom, so it's actually easier.
I don't know what you mean. I thought they were just really bad at the fight.
No.
But yeah, they just kind of do this for 3 turns, and then eventually Papyrus just lets you go. And then you can go off to Waterfall.
If you pressing no, it is.
Yeah, if you manage to press no. If you manage to press yes, like a lot of runners, and their runs, it immediately restarts another round and loses a lot of time.
So Cookie is now finished with the third fight, and he will soon enter the text or the cutscene for the fourth fight, and that's the cutscene where he has to say no to Papyrus. If he's accidentally mashing too fast and is hitting the yes button, he will start another fight. So good luck on this now, Cookie. Okay.
Whoa, Cookie did it.
Cookie did it?
And okay. SnowieY did it. It looks like he slowed down a little bit there to make sure that he did manage to get it.
Yeah. But I think a lot of runners actually slow down a little because you rather waste 1 or 2 seconds here than actually have to restart the run again because of this. So yeah, as I see, you don't need to date Papyrus in the neutral run because we don't do true pacifist. So that's why we actually don't do the date
or hangout. Depends on what you choose.
The hangout.
Alright, so we're going to come up to 2 flower puzzles room, which again, many runners have lost their run to by going too fast and making the flower puzzle go the wrong way. You just mainly just want them to go to make a bridge so you can cross. Or if you're like JD and he didn't know that there was a way to reset the bridge without having to exit the room.
So the first puzzle is easy. It's the second puzzle where some people are having a major breakdown.
Honestly, this took me many tries to figure out how to complete it in my casual playthrough.
Okay, Cookie got it right.
And SnowieY got it right. It looks very simple, but many people have lost their run to screwing up the flower puzzle.
And as you can see, SnowieY is slowly but steady catching up to Cookie because his smashing technique.
And we're gonna come up to the spear section. There's actually a way to manipulate the spears to get in the way you want them to by the spears automatically follow you, so if you go in that direction, it'll follow you. And you come in a bit to go that way, and then move up or down to avoid it completely. And it allows for you to get an optimal way to go through the area without having to stop as much. And we will see them in the more visually able to see later. then we're coming to the objectively best part of the run.
Yeah, it's the part where I get the punch card, the main item or the main cutting edge technology when it comes down to skipping stuff. And yeah, how to explain punch card without being too boring? To put it in actually simple terms, you can manipulate a global range value with the punch card, and this one is the interact value, and which determines if you're able to walk, if you're using the inventory, if you are in a cutscene, if the character is not allowed to move, and stuff like this. So because the punch card actually has a 1 frame window between popping up and closing the inventory, you can change this value.
So yeah, as you can see, they kind of overflowed the treasure chest in order, not the treasure chest, the regular chest, in order to wrong warp into the room. Wrong warping is basically just setting yourself at the default position whenever you wrong warp into a room.
Okay, Cookie got the only audio cue. Normally, if you say you're using the punch card to skip cutscenes or stuff like this, you normally know where it is because you have a visual cue or something. There, you can imagine there is a line in the screen where when you go over this line, then you actually trigger the cutscene. You know it through a visual cue, and Onion Suns is the only audio cue that you have because you have no visual reference because everything is looking almost the same in there. And they both got it. And in this case, because if they would have messed it up, there's also the chance to actually soft lock here.
Yeah, if you mash a little bit too early, Monster Kid will just kind of keep walking to you, and then he will walk off screen, and you will soft lock permanently. And in the screen cookies end, if you grind against the wall, like we were talking about earlier, you kind of go double the speed. It's used in other parts of the game, but we don't really know why it's like that. It just kind of is.
And about wrong warping, I don't want to say the game is confused because apparently if people say that, they have no idea what they're talking about. Oh, that banter. No, actually the game really doesn't know what to do with you if you you actually have to transition to one screen, and at the same time you're closing an item window, and the game doesn't actually know what to do with you, and so as Star said, puts you in the default position.
And they both got Spears 2 skips, which skips the beginning cutscene where Undyne encloses you with spears. And I was talking about earlier, RNG, the manip of the spears. If you go into the wall in the specific direction, it kind of follows you exactly as you want it. So you can totally avoid the spears, since you just go the opposite direction of the way you originally were.
Yeah, the game pretty much tries to detect your last input, and if it determines that your last input was a down, then it actually tries to set the spears in the lower section of you.
And upcoming there is a completely useless trick that it's kind of interesting to see. Let's see if either of the runners get it. It saves no time, but it's really cool. We call it Jesus Frisk, and you'll see why if either of them get it. Yeah, as you see, Cookie got it, and if you go off the side of the board the same time you walk on the water, something like that, the same pixel, Frisk just ends up walking on the water. Not like in the water, just walking on top of it.
Don't actually know. Okay, both got it. They are both blessed by the Jesus Frisk. So next up is the Mad Dummy fight. Mad Dummy fight is actually the the runner's trying to do this in the so-called 5-cycle dummy. They try to make as much damage as possible to end the phase 1 of the dummy fight in 5 cycles.
If you have to get a certain amount of the balls and a specific order to go onto him in order to get it. And his health is at 300, and you have to get it down to 294 in order to get 5 cycle. Also, this method was created by the theory was created by Brecamo and put into practice by TGH. And as a credit to Punch Card, all of it was found by Rambu and Valnar with extensive testing from Jade Vanadium.
Okay, so we soon see if everyone has the 5 cycle. And
Cookie is very low in health, and he did not get 5 cycle.
Yeah. It sometimes happens, even though you hit him with pretty much everything, he suddenly doesn't want to go in there with... I had it a couple of times too. Because suddenly he decides not to go in. Then you just probably missed either one or... the game, you have no idea.
And Snowy did get 5 cycle. It does depend sometimes, because if you... I'm not sure if you don't manip it correctly, or if the dummy is just being the dummy. Sometimes he will or will not move into the way you want him to. Like, for instance, if I wanted to move right, sometimes he'll just stay still for no apparent reason. And there's nothing I can do about it. I cannot get 5 cycle at that point, because his movement is completely off for how we want it to go in order to get 5 cycle.
The last attack that Cookie is in right now is mostly the most dangerous one, because he cannot control the RNG or where the rocket is placed and the free spaces are placed that you need to maneuver in. So that's the place where most people, if they die. Because if it's so close with the rocket, then you're almost bound to hit something. Yeah. And
it is possible to also die by the knife. Many other runners have also, including me, have also lost runs because of the fact that you're such low health and then you accidentally get hit by the knife and then you game over. And many runners have also lost runs because of the fact that they are not menuing correctly in order to heal, and they rep up their punch card.
Yeah. Good times. I actually died too.
Oh, believe me, I've lost my share of runs because of dying to Mad Dummy.
Like I said, I died to Mad Dummy at ESA. So yeah. So we're navigating through the waterfalls now to the last part of the waterfall now, and upcoming next will be one of the hardest trick in the whole run. It's the so-called...
You mean bridge skip, right?
Yeah. No, we're actually talking about one dyne. Normally one dyne is a multi-phase encounter, you could say. You have to actually fight against them multiple of times, but with the one dyne you can actually skip this whole thing and just do the fight in one turn.
Yeah, normally you have to do it in 4 turns, but along with the punch card and a weird position thing, we're not really sure why it happens, you can basically just grind it down to one phase of the fight. And here they're doing a thing called flower flow, where they kind of overflow the flower. They can move during the cutscene. It saves a little bit of time, since you can obviously move during the cutscene, and then you can get to the side faster, up there faster. But the bridge to go up doesn't load until the cutscene is over, so you can't really do anything until then, as you can see by what Cookie just said. And Snowy did not go for flower flow.
So now the infamous one dyne. Let's see if they both can manage to do it.
So basically there's 2 cutscenes that you have to master. And then you have to consecutively do a wrong warp. Oh, Cookie did not get it. Into the room. Do not soft locked either. Snowy did get it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, that Snowy has a huge amount of time saved now.
Yeah, it saves about a good 20-25 seconds. It's quite a bit of time save if you manage to get it.
I mean, Cookie realized it fast enough and went outside again.
Yeah,
because
as you can see,
if you're not fast,
if you like go under the W in the welcome sign, for some reason that position allows you to kind of go up and not have to enter the other phase of Undyne that you usually have to do.
Yeah, and if you're not fast enough, then you actually hit her and go into battle. So it can happen that you actually go for a 2 battle round then, or 2 battle rounds. But yeah, but with Snowy executing it perfectly and with Cookie missing the one dine, that takes Snowy into a huge lead now.
Don't worry, they have Asgore. And here is where you see the bulk of skipping all of the cutscenes, as you skip 2 major boss fights and many puzzles and cutscenes that you would normally have to do. Where, as this would normally take about 10 to 15 minutes to do, it's gone down to the point where it's less than 5 minutes to go through the entirety of Hotlands and Core. And here is our first out-of-bounds track, where you can just kind of get the vents to throw you out of bounds with the punch card.
Yeah, so Snow is going for the bump pan right now. There is actually 2 possible weapons that you can use. Most of the runners are going for the bump pan in the run, but you could also go for the empty gun.
I believe the empty gun does do... No. Does it? Does the empty gun do more damage than the pan?
It's faster. The execution is faster.
Yeah, the execution for doing it is much faster.
Yeah.
But it's also less consistent because of how fast the animation is.
Yeah. So it's actually a reward risk. If you actually go for the gun, then you can, if you are perfectly going with the gun, then you can actually probably be faster. But with the burn pan being a bit more safer, most of the runners are taking the burn pan.
Yeah, I don't believe I know any runner that does empty gun unless they don't really know what the route is. Most go for empty gun, for burn pan.
So what you're seeing on Cookie's screen now is a double overflow, as we call it, because there are 2 cutscene triggers and he needs 2 text boxes to be able to go past this. But what happens is that you actually lose your menu, or your whole menu actually, and to get it back you need to go back to a certain room in the Hotlands, and then you have your menu back.
Yeah, it kind of like sets a flag to tell you that you should have your menu here because of after the Undyne fight.
So next up, if you're brave, you turn up the volume of your headphones.
Interesting thing, this room Snowy was just before with the pyro. There's some text that Alphys gives you that you can totally skip just by going down to the bottom of the screen. I wish we could explain like every trick that's going on, but they're punch carding so fast that it's kind of hard to keep up with all of it.
The room Snow is in right now is the so-called new skip, and there you don't. Since everything is dark, you actually need to count steps on this one. So you count 7 steps, and then you're pretty much in the range of the trigger.
Or if you're me and just kind of guess and go with whatever you think it is. There is a small glitch here that Cookie's doing. That seems like 1 second, but the risk is that you soft walk if you fail it. so most runners don't go for it. An interesting thing about the telephone room that you saw before with all the loud noise is that you can actually do it without the punch card. So here we're just kind of gonna skip 2 puzzles that you're supposed to do. Both had a little bit of trouble with north-south skip. But still overall decent. There's a little thing in the Muffet room where you can skip her. If you go down on like one of the edges, you can kind of speed yourself up by wall humping into it. That's what we call it. I don't think we said that.
Another dangerous skip here. Okay, Snowy got it.
There is a very big visual cue for it, but sometimes it just doesn't work. Okay, so a little bit different. After skipping the Metaton cutscene, you have to enable the first cutscene in the core and then go back down to the room before the water cooler in order to get your menu back. The reason for this is because then it doesn't count the fact that you're on the floor 3 on the right side, and it wastes a lot of time to get back there from the left side.
So next up is another a couple of laser skips for a cutscene skip and 2 laser skips coming up for Snowy. So first he will do a cutscene skip where I actually normally have to fight someone.
If you do manage to not skip that fight, you can just throw the stick at magic and you will automatically win the fight. I don't know why it works on him, but just using the stick on him will immediately win you the fight.
So I got them both. There are actually 2 methods to avoid this whole cutscene. There's either the thing Cookie did, where you use the first text box at the beginning, and then actually going into a fight screen. Or the second thing that you could do is actually mash the first text boxes away, and then do the punch card exploit on the 5th laser. That's also a possibility, so you can actually...
Now, for the cutscene skip that Snowy is just did, there is no visual cue for that. You kind of have to just step count. And yeah, we skip a Metaton fight with one of the greatest music in the game.
Okay, both got both skips. So it probably will just come down to Asgore then.
Maybe one of them will die on Flowey.
Because now it's time for Monster Tail, and
the most boring part of the run.
Yeah. The thing is that Monster Tail, in the opposite to Flowery Tail, cannot be skipped. There can only be skipped certain stories. You can in total skip 2, with one with being an text overflow by going to another room, and the second one by doing wrong warp. But the rest of the whole story cannot be skipped.
It actually is faster to go to the right first in order to get the key first, as you can skip a longer part of the Monster Tail section by going to the right first. And basically, there's one more wrong warp for both Cookie and Snowy. And then that's basically it for the next 2 minutes, because it's just mashing through the story of the game.
Snowy got it first try.
Alright, Cookie has 2 wrong warps. No, never mind. He has 2 wrong warps. Okay, I didn't realize you could do that.
The one wrong warp, it doesn't save that much time. It only saves time if you get it first try.
A lot of the wrong warps are very insignificant, but overall it saves a pretty good amount of time to get there. But it's also kind of risky and doesn't really save that much time unless you get it first or maybe second try. So most runners don't go for it.
Also, for a lot of new runners, wrong warps are pretty much the last thing they learn, because wrong warps always have the thing that you can softlock with them.
Yeah, you can softlock in every single room especially if you do wrong warps. The only wrong warp that new runners usually do is the one with the 1 dying, as it saves a lot of time if you manage to do it. There are other parts of skips where it's easier to do wrong warps than rather than the punch card it, but it's up to the person on what they want to do. They might find it easier to punch card than it is to wrong warp. But yeah, let's all enjoy this very fascinating story that many of us have not totally heard hundreds of times. Fuck.
So yeah, there will be one more punch card skip and one more, 3 wrong warps to be exact, which is called the Rumble Combo.
And if you fail it on the 3rd wrong warp, it's the Lubo Kobo. The next skip coming ahead is where you just... Sans gives you judgment based on your actions, and you just kind of skip past it. And it's about to become where Vulcan is very useful when you kill them, as you just get a huge attack boost on Asgore.
And since both of them don't have any real defense, normally you could grab the Naked Apron, but the Stained Apron, and if you don't get this one, it's good to have those 32 HP.
The Stained Apron is usually get by either new runners or for the true pacifist route, as it's very helpful during the Azrael fight.
Because it has a health regeneration, so that's why runners normally
you get 1 health every other turn.
Yeah, but since you have since you're powered up against Asgore now, you actually don't need it here.
Alright, so Snowy got the Rambu combo. Let's see if Cookie does as well. And Snowy's gonna start the Asgore fight. And Cookie got the Rambu combo as well. So for the Asgore fights, you have 4 bars that you can attack Asgore with. And you have to get all 4 in the center. With the burn pan, like all the other weapons, you actually have to hit a frame before you hit the center in order to get a quad, which is the most amount of damage. It's usually around 380 damage. Which enough can get the fight ended in about 10 turns. As it skips like every other turn if you manage to get a quad.
Yeah. But it's really hard and really precise to do.
You have to basically do 4 frame perfect inputs. It is possible to get like all quads, what we call a task score. Many people have gotten it. The first one to have known to gotten with video proof is Xander, TJE10. You can look him up on YouTube. He has the VOD of the first task work.
And there you can see the difference. Snowy just did a quad with 347 damage, and normally you have like 180 or around 180 damage.
Cookie also just got a quad with 348. I'm trying to keep track of the quads, but I'm like really bad at counting. The hardest part of Asgore isn't really surviving, it's just being able to manage to get all the quads that you need.
Because as if in the way the fight prolongs, the faster Asgore's attacks are getting.
So Snowy got 5 quads, which is pretty good for a fight.
And Cookie is almost done too, depending on his next attack.
It is possible to get a quad at the very end, but it's basically useless.
There
And
we go,
Cookie
yeah.
got the better end of it by ending him by ending it with 800 health. He got 5 quads as well.
But he really took it, really took it risky with the 4 health.
So it looks like Snowy is basically gonna win, but it is still possible for him to lose by either slower loading times or just by dying to Flowey, which is very hard to do. See, in this fight, Frisk has 50 health, and it takes about 14 hits for Flowey to kill you, as he does more damage than anyone else in the game. Well, no, actually no, he does 1 damage per attack, but he does it so much that it kind of depletes your health very quickly. I'm betting on Cookie, but don't tell anyone.
Yeah, there are legends of people that actually die in this during a run.
The most infamous one is during the 3rd phase of the fight, which is actually pretty easy to miss the act button, and then since you don't get a heal, you just immediately die. Unless you manage to dodge everything.
So Snowy is starting the Flowey fight now.
Reminder that Finale is the best song in the game.
It is Muffet, but okay.
For those new to this game, that's Photoshop Flowey or Omega Flowey, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, so the whole thing is actually divided in several phases. You have the attack phase of Flowey right now, and then you have the intermissions, you could call it, with the soul phases, where you cannot actually die.
It's literally impossible to die. You can get hit as many times as you want and you won't die. So it actually makes for a pretty easy fight. And some of the attacks are scripted during the phases, like the first few phases it's not scripted. And then I don't want to say that Toby got lazy, but it kind of looks like it, as the remaining phases where he full on attacks you seems to be all scripted with the same few attacks. With the occasional RNG blaster. Yeah, every soul phase you get a full, mostly you get a full heal. And this goes on for several more phases until we can start actually attacking Flowey properly.
That's also usually the time where the whole chat is starting to spam.
Feel free to spam Al when we tell you to.
In general, the whole neutral ending is the best category for people to get into the whole speedrunning of Undertale.
It's the fastest category as well as it's the best way to get you into punch card, as you don't do as many punch card skips as you do in True Pacifist.
So now we got the act. There are legends of people that actually miss this one here.
Like me. If you're not in the right position, you can kind of just miss the act button as it's coming through and just... You miss the act button, you can continue on, and then usually people die afterwards. Which has happened many occasions, like, to people like me. But from here on out, it's usually smooth sailing. There is a little bit of RNG coming up on SnowieY's side. The act button has a chance of coming out on the right or the left, and it's totally random on which side it comes out. We like to play a fun little game to see what chat thinks on which side you should go on. But the optimal strategy is just stay in the middle, see what side the act button comes out, as it saves, as it doesn't lose time compared to going on one side and like not getting the right side completely. Cookie's playing this game in chat right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, Flowey is a filthy cheater and uses save states during his run. If Flowey uses save states during his run, why can't we?
Yeah. Cheating in speedruns. What the hell?
And here, SnowieY is about to come on the last phase of the fight before we get to the best song in the game. Alright, in this phase the gun comes out in spurts of 8 before the act button comes out. So you want to click the act button. And as soon as the gun starts shaking, you can just exit out of the screen, reload the game, and then you will skip all the cutscene where you get healed.
Yeah, so pretty much now.
Yeah, like SnowieY just did.
You skip the whole long intro cutscene to the next phase.
Alright guys, now you can spam out. Go ahead, knock yourselves out.
Get temporarily banned or something like this.
There's actually a slight strat here, where if you wait a little bit amount of time for the act fight, at the end you can actually skip a turn of having to fight him, which saves a little bit amount of time. So yeah, unless SnowieY either dies here or screws up the next load that he has to do, it's very unlikely that he will lose.
Yeah.
As this entire fight is basically just an auto-scroller, if you just manage to do everything correctly.
And Snowy is done. And so pretty much that's the end. Snow will win the race now because there will be no any more time save that Cookie can actually achieve.
It is possible once again for him to screw up the load, which does lose a few seconds if he screws it up, but it may not even be enough time for Cookie to catch up. So. A little thing here, if you go onto the edge of the pellet circle, you can just immediately get hit by the pellets and then, without having it to enclose around you, saves a little bit of time compared to just staying in the middle. And after you get hit by the pellets, you don't actually have to mash anymore, it just kind of immediately goes away, so you don't really have to do anything. No matter what, this was a very close race.
Yeah. With in the end, it just came down to the one done.
Yeah, the only thing that set Cookie back so much as it did was one dine. If he had done that, it would have been... He might even be ahead right now. So yeah, here, once Flowey's text pops up once you click to kill him, you could just reload the game again and it'll immediately end.
Time is as soon as you hit the door.
So yeah, Snowy got a 57.26. That's pretty good. And then Cookie's behind him with a 57.42.
That's pretty much exactly the 20 or almost 25 seconds that you lose when you have to go through the hole.
So yeah, that was a very good showcase by both of them. That was a very close race. GG to both of them.
GG. Ring ring. Yeah, so this is Undertale neutral ending. If you actually like what you see and want to maybe participate in our tournament that will be held on August the 20th, or starting August the 20th, the registration for the tournament will be until next Sunday, 12th.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, there you can sign in. And hey.
Hello, Snowy and Cookie.
Hello, Snowy and Cookie. Congratulations, Snowy.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And in the end, it just came down to one done, right?
1-9 it was.
I honestly, I'm not really sure why I failed one dime there. Like, I don't really understand what went wrong.
You didn't have no board up, right?
Nope. See, that's one of the fun things about that trick. Sometimes you just don't really know what happened.
Yeah, sometimes you just manage to wrong warp and it doesn't actually work. We're not really sure why. It's a very weird skip that works differently compared to every other skip in the game. And wrong
then
warp.
I also pulled the Cookiepocalypse in New Home of, like, I practiced Megler skip my whole life, don't miss it once, and then I miss it in every single run.
That's kind of a speedrunner effect of practicing everything before the run, getting it every single time first try, and then failing it in the run right afterwards.
Also, it probably didn't really help me that I didn't practice at all, like during the delay.
I didn't practice for 3 weeks.
Same.
Damn. The insane bullying. Yeah, so... Yep. But they're still happy with the times, I guess. Even though with Snowy failing the ice puzzle once and Cookie not the one down.
Failing everything. Actually, I don't understand how that Asgore was an 11 turn. I'm pretty sure that was an 11 turn. But I, like, whiffed everything. It doesn't make any sense, but... Apparently, Asgore just likes me.
Nice. Well, congratulations to both of you again. And thank you for showing us and the people what Undertale speedrunning is about. And like we said, August the 20th is where our tournament will start. It's neutral ending, all skill levels. You can sign up until next Sunday. And yeah, we will see you on August the 20th then. Thank you everybody. And from my side, good night.